before the beauty of the earth. Huh? Maybe before the beauty of the earth. Probably like in your head.
Good evening. Welcome to the PAX Awards Dinner. I too want to add my greeting to your attending this evening. I'm Tim Zalbrecht, the Associate Director at PAX, and thank you so much for coming this evening to show your support of this amazing organization that we all get to be a part of. As you can see from the video that just played, I hope that you were able to watch some of that and not be too distracted by talking so you missed it all. But PAX is very alive and very well. There is a lot of things happening, many people being served, and it's a great place to be a part of. The thrift stores continue to show steady growth year after year. In my opinion, there are three basic benefits for our thrift store. The first one is to provide low-cost items to people who can't afford otherwise. So far this year, our average price per item is $1.46. That means that we sell a lot of things for less than $1.50. The second reason we have a thrift store is because it provides cash flow for our organization. Last year, the thrift store generated over $500,000 to help stabilize the cash flow of our organization. The third reason is because the thrift store provides a place for the community to engage with each other and work together to help others. We recently experienced the power of this community encouraging each other as the news of one of our faithful volunteers, Marcine Herink, who had been murdered, has made headlines. This news made us realize that there is both good and bad in the world, and PAX is a place where good is shining a light to the world around, and as a community, we need to pull together to lift each other up. The food pantry continues to be a flagship of service. Thousands of people rely on the PAX food pantry to help balance their budgets by providing a 3 to 5 day supply of food. We are blessed to be able to offer opportunities for other food pantry leaders to come and see how they can run their pantries in a way that helps build self-respect and fosters dignity among those that they serve. As we move forward, we are planning how we can expand the mobile food pantry, also known as the Cow, to provide food where people need it most. In addition to these services, this past year has given us opportunity to experience changes and move confidently forward, watching as we see God leading. One change that we are still working our way through is regarding the PAX Health Clinic. Since 1992, we have been providing primary care medical attention to uninsured patients. As a result of the Affordable Care Act, we saw a precipitous drop in the number of patients coming to our clinic. This change forced us to think long and hard about the future of our clinic. After much prayer and significant discussions with people who are much more knowledgeable about the realities of the medical world than we are, we took their advice and chose to transition our clinic away from primary care and focus intently on opening a dental clinic that will provide holistic dental care to people who are the least able to access it. In this process of changing the direction and changing the services that we were planning to provide, the use of the space of the building that we were building needed to change as well. That prolonged our building process because I know that those of you who were here last year heard that we were going to be opening very soon. Lots of things have happened and changed and made that prolong, but we are still moving forward. In fact, just this last week, I was privileged to spend 4.5 hours down at the building department downtown to get the revisions that we had made approved. I got the stamp and left very pleased. Hopefully, yes. Somebody who's been through the building process in the city of Portland. We got a sign off on the insulation. I have one more little hurdle to jump through on that, and then we get to start sheetrocking the walls next week. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have at least some sheetrock up in the building, something we've been looking forward to for a long time. Over the past year, we have also experienced the retirement of 3 of our devoted paid staff, as well as several other staff members moving on to other jobs. When staff members move on, it always leaves a hole that is never filled exactly the same. It is a reminder that every person is important, but no one is indispensable. Each new staff member brings their unique talents and personality and transitions the organization in a new way. We are so glad to see that PAX is bigger than each of us, but needs all of us to go through these times, to continue being a community of service. I am so glad to see this organization go through personnel changes and be able to continue moving forward to serve our community. One of the people that retired this past year was Paul Krull. For those of you who know him, you realize that he does not serve for recognition, but truly because he longs to make a positive difference in this world. His kindness, compassion, leadership, and devotion to God have been an inspiration to many. Because of these and many other reasons, we are glad to honor him with the Barbara Nelson Award.
He's a very caring person, a very people person.
Very stabilizing force while he was here, just a very peaceful person who brought the picture of Jesus to a lot of people.
Didn't matter what kind of a day it was or what kind of a day he was having. He always had a smile and a kind word.
He listens to people to see what the needs are.
He's always here making a difference. He cares about people. He'll listen to them.
We was very close, praying, and like a father, he's the best.
One of the things I think he brought to PAX was his ability to plan strategically. He would come to the board and say, we really need to do this. It's going to spend down our reserves, but I think God wants us to do this. And it's worked.
The dental clinic is going to be a legacy of Paul's. He's really the executive director that was instrumental in taking what we had kind of batted around for a long time and turning it into a real program that we were moving forward with.
He started the cow. That was something that he's reached out and started himself. And for those who don't know what the cow is, that's Commodities on Wheels. It's the mobile pantry.
With this particular trailer, going to several places a month, which we were not able to do before.
He invested everything he had into this. He didn't have to spend as much time here to make things work and to make everything work right.
What I think probably has impacted me the most is watching people helping others and their concern and care for people in need. I've enjoyed our staff. I've enjoyed the volunteers. They're here because they believe in what happens here at PAX. PAX affects a lot of people, and not just the people that come for food or medical or clothing. It affects everybody in the area, and I just pray that that will continue to grow and be a blessing.
I think it's an award that he richly deserves.
I know that you deserve it because you have made a lot of difference for PAX, and not only for PAX, but also in the lives of other people.
Thanks a million for your many years of service.
Because of you, I also fell in love with PAX. You made me want to be here.
Every day, we miss you. Thank you very much for that time. That was a good time. God bless you.
You really earned it. You're a wonderful leader. You've earned everything that you've gotten and more.
Paul, thank you for being a great leader, for caring deeply about the people of the community, for trusting in God and showing people the way to know a Savior who cares.
So Paul, taking over from your leadership, several people said, man, those are big shoes to fill. And I said, actually, I'm not going to try to stand in Paul's shoes. Rather, I'm going to try to climb up on his shoulders so I can see further, because he's taken us far. So Paul, every year we give out the Barbara Nelson Award to somebody who has made a significant contribution to PAX. And so for caring about the community, the vision, in having leadership in meeting the needs of the community, the Portland Adventist Community Service honors you, Paul Cole, with the Barbara Nelson Award for 2018. Thank you.
You sure you're going to turn me loose with this? Well, it was, short leash. I have to tell you that it was a unanimous vote. I worked on my wife first. I failed. And then I went to the ladies in the office, and I failed. That's why I'm in my tuxedo tonight. But I want to tell you, it's an honor to be honored by PAX. It's been a wonderful experience in my life. I miss it every day. You will too. Right now it's a heavy load, but you'll miss it when the day comes. But you know, I had an unusual experience because for 9 years, 3 months, and 6 days, I was the interim director. You at least are the full executive director. I was hired for that for 3 to 6 months, and it stretched into 9 years plus. It's been worthwhile. I want to tell you I'm doubly honored tonight because sitting in front of me is my family, my wife and our 4 children, Paul Jr., Annette, Kevin, and Danny, and a couple of our grandchildren, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, and it's an honor to have you here with me tonight. Thank you.
So in addition to the Barbara Nelson Award, we also have a second award, which is the Director's Award. And we are honored this evening to present that award to Lloyd Westcott.
Here. Lloyd Westcott was driving a truck at PAX before I was here at PAX.
He was a truck driver from the beginning, and he was a very good truck driver.
I was still working on the waterfront as a longshoreman, and when I had days off, I would go to the old one when they were down on Powell. And then when they came here, this used to be a health club at the PAX. They tore it apart, and I helped tear it apart. So when they got through with tearing it apart, then and it started operation, I thought, well, I should help out over here when I can. So I did. And I retired in 1992. So from then on, I worked here all the time.
People like Lloyd inspire other people. Their dedication to what they believe in, their willingness to work hard and to do their job well.
He's a hard worker. He sees what needs to be done and he does it. He set the bar pretty high.
We miss him, I can tell you. Always now he come Friday, just visit us.
Even when he stopped volunteering, he still comes in on Fridays. In spite of his body hurting, he just keeps going. He's just a caring person and is willing to do this.
A lot of times we don't have drivers to fulfill the position. They may be sick the night before and we don't have enough time to get somebody. Lloyd, I could call him and he'd show up.
If he's supposed to be there, you can count on him.
Well, I liked what they did, what they do. They helped a lot of people, and some of the people that work in here in the past are people that came in to get food, I know. They liked what they saw here, and then they wanted to kind of pay back and come in here and work. And just thought that I like to work what I can here.
Lloyd, it's been great knowing you and working with you, and you set an example for me of what is important in life. helping others, and God will bless you for that.
Thanks a million for all of the hours of volunteering that you've done.
Thank you for being an inspiration to so many people, for your work that you have done to make life better for those around you.
Thank you, Lloyd. Thank you.
So Lloyd, I think that video speaks for itself. The Director's Award, as we got together and began to think about who would be the person to receive it this year, one name kept coming up to the top of the pile. And Lloyd, for your outstanding faithfulness, commitment, and dedication to community service, the Portland Adventist Community Services honors Lloyd Westcott with the 2018 Director's Award. Thank you for all your service.
Well, thanks for the good remarks I've heard about myself. I've told people there's a lot of people at PAX that deserve this just as much as I would deserve it. But thank you very much for it. And, I'm looking out through here. I don't know. I see a lot of people here that don't volunteer at PAX. You ought to think about it a little bit. They need help. And this is a good time to think about it and come do your thing. Thanks.
As we were preparing for this event, we began laboring over who the right person to provide the keynote address tonight would be. And as we labored over it, it actually didn't take long for us to be very clear on who should deliver this address tonight. Mark Fulop has spent his career in consulting with government and nonprofit organizations, including PAX. Since accepting the role of executive director here nearly a year ago, Mark has taken the challenge to continue the great legacy of service that this organization has carried forward in Northeast Portland. He has demonstrated a heart for the underserved and is dedicated to both personal impact and systemic improvements that will serve the needs of the underserved and improve our society. He's married to Jessica Lang and has two talented children who are in university in the Midwest studying music of different sorts. But tonight we get to hear the vision of our executive director. Please welcome back to the stage, Mark Fulop.
This one is on. Like everyone, take a second to stop what you're doing. If you're eating your last bite of dessert, hold on. If you're putting cream in your coffee, hold on, stop. Look around. Look across the table. Look at the table next to you. Let your eyes drift all the way to the other side of the room. There are nearly 400 people in this room tonight. 400 people, think about that. 400 people who showed up here tonight to support PAX. And what I have to say is, you're just but a portion of the people who support PACS. But truly, you're a portion of the group that has shown up tonight. And if you looked around the room, if you look carefully, you could see we're a diverse group of people. We're young, we're old, we're men, we're women. We're different cultures, we're different races, we're different, probably, theologies and religions. But we are all here tonight, united by one thing, which is community service. We all share a concern for those who are struggling to make ends meet. But more than that, I think we not only share a concern, but we also share a compassion for those who are less fortunate. And in addition to that, I think we have a commitment to making a difference. And finally, as a faith-based organization, I believe we all have a conviction that is God-inspired to give back to this community. Last week when we were in worship in the morning, Carol, one of our staff who's leading the charge on helping us develop our dental clinic, she was leading worship and she said this. She said, while we may believe God is in control, he still expects us to show up. And so on behalf of the board of directors, on the staff members around me who made this great event possible, the volunteers who show up day by day, and all the people who we serve each and every day through our food pantry and our thrift store and our soon-to-be health clinic again, I want to thank each one of you for showing up to support PACS. So here's an exercise. There's a teeny bit of exercise tonight. There's going to be 2 of them, just warning. So first exercise is this. If you've ever volunteered at PACS, whether it's 4 hours or 4,000 hours, I don't care. If you've ever volunteered for PACS, stand up and stay standing. Okay. Now if you're still sitting, and there are some who are still sitting, if you've ever donated to us financially or donated stuff to our thrift store or shopped in our thrift store, or perhaps even were a client in our medical clinic or our food pantry, stand up if you've ever been part of PACS in that way. Okay, a few more stood up. And if you have ever just prayed for our success, you stand up as well. Now, if there's anyone remaining seated, I want to welcome you here tonight because you have shown up on behalf of PACS, and I want you also to stand up. And if I do the math correctly, that means everyone is standing. And so while you're standing, before you sit down, you need to do one thing. You need to turn to somebody next to you or near you who you don't know, and if you're a handshaker, handshake, or if you're a hugger, hug them and say, thank you for your compassion and for showing up for PACS. And then you may be seated. Okay, I knew this would risk spinning out of control. So I need you all to take your seat again. Because whether you know it or not, there's actually a timer over here telling me how many minutes I've been speaking. We are going to get out on time tonight. That was one of our commitments. So at this point, I, again, would like to say those who are with us are committed to us and committed to our service. And this first slide actually captures the heart of PACS. If you look at that heart, each of the gray stick figures represents one of our staff members. And that's a typical day. And then when you look at every red figure, that red figure are the volunteers that are at PACS on the same days. And if you were to do that math and quickly in your head, you would see there's probably 2 red bodies for every gray body that is on that screen. So what that means is that on any given day, there are 1 or 2 volunteers for every staff member in the building. And that translates into a couple of things. If you look at it from a numbers perspective, as was mentioned in that opening video, last year there were over 44,000 hours donated by 250 volunteers. Think about that a little bit, 44,000 hours. And if you were to value that time, and there is an organization called the Independent Sector that values volunteer time, that volunteer time is valued at over $1 million, which is roughly the operating budget of PACS in real dollars. So what that means is that every dollar you have donated to PACS in the past, every dollar you have donated through our silent auction tonight, and any additional dollars you may donate by the end of the evening, those dollars are matched one by one, because every dollar you invest, there's a volunteer putting in an equal dollar worth of time. So you've got 100% return on your investment whenever you donate to PACS. That is an amazing thing. As we think about this, though, I also want to say that volunteers are not just about numbers. Volunteers are actually about people. And as you know, and Tim has mentioned, we have had people come and go as volunteers. Many of them are amazing. They range from our youngest volunteer, who is in their single digits, like 7 or 8 years old. Our oldest volunteer sitting on that side of the table is 100 and over on that side of the room is 102 years old, still showing up at PACS. In the back of the room, we have another volunteer who's chasing her, and he's going to be turning 100 this year. And we have every age of people in between. Some people come for very brief amounts of time. We have some volunteers who come through the door because they may have gotten in trouble and ended up in court, and the court may have said, you need 40 hours worth of community service in order to get out from underneath X, Y, or Z. And so we have some people who come in and they just do 40 or 60 or 70 hours to fulfill some community service. And then there are others who come and are there for years. And when those people come and they become woven into the fabric of PACS, when they leave, it becomes challenging. Whether it's a move, whether in some cases their lives have run their full course, we grieve. And I can say this year we've grieved more than once. But again, I feel compelled to again mention that the tragic death of Marcine Heronick, who was a volunteer who put in nearly 1,900 hours of PACS. It was the most tragic and random conversion of the worst of humanity with the best of humanity. Marcine was actually there at PACS the day before she went missing. And Marcine knew why she was at PACS. She was at PACS to touch people's lives. And I can tell you, she has left a hole in our fabric that will take time to repair. And as we grieve with her family, her children, her grandchildren, her church community at the Crossroads Church. We grieve as a community. And as we do, we know that that grief will turn to joy again. If Marcy were here tonight, she would say, well, there's still work to be done, so I guess you better go on. And so in a memory of Marcine tonight, I would like to kind of share a few more thoughts about PACS. So again, as was noted in my intro, I had done a lot of work as a consultant before I took on the position of executive director here. And one of the things I encountered is the concept of venture capital. Any of you in the business world, you know what venture capitalists are? Venture capitalists are a unique breed of investors in business. You know, we think of investors as people who buy stock in a company, and so they give cash and they get stock. But a venture philanthropist, a venture capitalist, is a firm that they not only give money, but they also give expertise to an organization. And they demand an equity stake in that organization. So venture capitalists will come, they'll say, here's $100,000 to grow your business, and here's some management practices that can help you, and here's the person we want to help you do this work. And then they say, and give us 10% ownership in your company. Now, in the nonprofit world, there is a trend, or a small trend, of social venture capitalists. People who are not just satisfied giving their money to a nonprofit organization, but they want to give their time and their expertise and have a sense of ownership. And as I look around this room and all the 400 people in this room, you all are venture capitalists. You are social venture capitalists who invest in PACs, not just with your money, but with your time, with your energy, with your expertise. And we are stronger because of that. So a venture capitalist, when they are vetting a business or doing their due diligence, they ask the question, why? And then they ask the question, why, a second time, and a third time, because they keep demanding an answer, because the more you answer the question, why, and the deeper you go, the closer you get to the DNA of an organization. So tonight I want to start asking the question why, because this is a venture capitalist report. So the first why we already answered, because you showed up and you are engaged. But there's a second why we are here. And that second why is because as a faith-based organization, our DNA is biblical. And that DNA, as we see it on the screen here, is a paraphrase of Luke chapter 4 that has been applied, the words of Christ have been applied to us today. And it goes something like this. And again, this is a loose paraphrase. Today, the Spirit of the Lord sends us out to proclaim to those who held captive in misery that they are free, and to provide recovery of sight to those who cannot see, and to restore those who at the hands of others are oppressed, weakened, downtrodden, and broken like shards of smashed pottery. That is the DNA of PACs. That is the why. And if this were a sermon, I would go deep into the why of Luke chapter 4. But since it's not a sermon, I will simply say, this is why we are here. The gospel of Christ demands that we help those who are oppressed, weakened, downtrodden, and broken like shards of smashed pottery. That is a why. Here's another why. Let's go deeper. Okay, if there's a commitment of the community, there's a biblical basis for why we're here. Now we want to say why. And here's why. When you come to PACs, if you were to come around 7:30 in the morning, you would start to see the first people starting to line up at the food pantry door. By 8:10 or 8:15, the time I typically am getting there, the line may look like this, where it's going around the corner. People looking to come to PACs to receive some food. And every day on a slow day, and the door opens at 9 in the morning, and the door closes at 11 in the morning. So the door is open 2 hours. On a slow day, we may have 60 people walk through the door. On a busy day, we may see 80 or 90 people walk through the door. And on a very busy day, 120 people will walk through the door. And those 120 people will receive 3 to 5 days worth of groceries for every member of their household. Why are we here? Because people need our services. And if you were to also look around, you would see behind our building this mobile food pantry. And the mobile food pantry goes out every month to 8 different communities around our area. We focus on high-need areas that are transportation challenged, And we bring food out to communities. Again, 3 to 5 days worth of groceries, servicing 30 to 40 households at each remote site. Why we are here. At the end of the month, when we tally up the numbers, we find that we feed nearly 6,000, or some months over 6,000 individuals. That includes half of them who are either children or senior citizens, receiving 3 to 5 days worth of groceries through PACS. Now, if you were to, we're one teeny bit ahead on the slide, but that's okay. We are here not only to feed those people, but we are also here because there's still stress on the healthcare system. And while we've been able to successfully enroll 100 uninsured individuals into the Oregon Health Plan, there's still needs for dental and vision, and to help people figure out how to navigate social and health services. We are here also because our economy is not working for everyone still, and minimum wage is not living wage. And through our thrift stores, we provide thousands of ultra-low-cost items to families struggling to make ends meet. We are here because there are people in need. Now, if you were to take all of those people and bundle them up and put them on a map, the map would look like this. The darkest red spots are where the people are coming to PACS from the most dense areas. The dark purple is less dense, and then down to teal is sort of where people are coming to PACS from other areas of our town. Now, when you look at this map, you can see that PACS is located in that middle red dot. So when you look around the red dot in the middle of the screen, you can see that there are other, the neighborhoods around PACS are the core areas where we are serving clients. Yet at the same time, if you look out, you can see that there are purple dots as far down as Stillwater and Estacada, and as far out as Boring, and there are teal dots as far out as Hillsboro and down to Wilsonville. And these dots represent several things. First, they represent the extensiveness of food insecurity in our community. People will drive great distances to access the food pantry. Again, we have dots out as far as Beaverton, Scappoose, Wilsonville, Canby. And second, it shows the reach of our mobile food pantry. Those dots down around Estacada and Damascus, those dots are no accident. The dots up in North Portland or on the other side of the river in Northwest Portland, those are places where our food pantry goes. And so, if you're representing a constituent church here tonight, look for your church. And I bet you'll find that around your church are neighborhoods that we are serving your clients. The neighborhoods that are people that are in your neighborhood, we are serving. And if you're a pastor from a church that's not a constituent church, you'll probably see that we're also serving clients and people and families in your neighborhoods as well. So as you start thinking about next year's budget, start thinking about joining us as a constituent church. We would love to have you. In either case, we are here because there are people in deep need. So if I were to talk to brain scientists would tell me, I'm sorry, I got ahead of myself in my notes. One more slice. If we were to go back to that map and see the red areas that are close around PACS, there are 5 zip codes that a large number of people come to our community from. And if you were to take those 5 zip codes and look at the demographic profile of the 5 zip codes that most use PACS services, and compare that to the zip codes of the entire Multnomah County, you start to see a very different picture of our clients. So if we were to go one more, There we go. So the white bar or the gray bar is Multnomah County overall. The red bars represent the 5 zip codes where people live, the top 5 zip codes where people live who come to PAX. And so when you see poverty at the county level is at 14%, the 5 zip codes we serve, poverty is over 21%. When that's for overall, when you look at seniors, overall seniors, 11% of seniors, 1 in 10 seniors is living in poverty. In those 5 zip codes around PAX, 1.5 seniors out of every 10. When you look at children, 20% of children in this county live in poverty. Over 33% of children in the 5 zip codes in our neighborhoods are in poverty. So you begin to see a profile of families living in poverty are the families who are coming to PAX. If you were to look at them from a perspective of education, county-wide, 91% of people have a high school education. When you look at the 5 zip codes of PAC, 82%. When you look at a bachelor's degree or higher, and we know the relationship between education and poverty, county-wide, 45% of the population have a bachelor's degree or higher. When you look at the 5 zip codes around PAX, less than 20% of the people have a bachelor's degree or higher. So the zip code, again, are people struggling with poverty who that poverty is partly connected directly to the lack of education. And if we were to add one more layer to this picture, we see that the ethnicity of the people that live in the 5 zip codes around PAX, they tend to be a higher concentration of people of color. They are twice as likely to have been born out of the United States than the rest of the county. And so it's a large immigrant refugee population, and that middle bar graph says that there's a fewer percent where English is the only language spoken in the home, which basically means that there are more multilingual homes or monolingual homes other than English. And we see it every day in the food pantry where we are trying to balance and juggle 8 or 9 different languages and communicate every day with that many people. So now as we go on, I can come back to the brain science thought. I'm sorry. So from the brain science standpoint, I did everything wrong for the last 5 minutes. I gave you a really big number, like 6,000 people a month. And brain scientists tell us when we start seeing numbers that large and that big, our brain starts to shut off. And we say, oh, could you pass me that extra dessert over there? And when we start talking about things, the other thing brain scientists say is when we talk about problems that are intractable that we really can't quite solve, like poverty or education, then that's also kind of shutting our brain off a little bit. So at this point, I want to suggest a different second exercise. I just need 4 people to stand up. Just 4 people. There's 1. Where's do I see 4? 2. Do I got 4 yet? 3. There's 3. Okay, so we got 4 people standing up. Okay, one of you represents a family that just lost their job and are showing up at the food pantry for the very first time. The second one of you represents a mother escaping a domestic violence situation, and she's now living in somebody's basement and needs food. The third person represents a new client walking into PAX. Perhaps that person just got a raise at work a couple of months ago, but that raise was enough to push them outside the recipient category for food stamps. And so even though they got a raise, that raise was offset by their food stamps being cut. And the fourth person is perhaps a household where the brother-in-law, his wife, and 2 children moved into their 2-bedroom apartment because they just lost their apartment because of escalating rent. So the four of you, as you stay standing, you are the brand new clients that showed up in the food pantry on September 21st. You're probably feeling a little bit awkward because this is the first time you've been to a food pantry. You don't know quite what to expect, how this thing works, and you're now dependent on somebody else for charity. Now I need 2 people from each table to stand up. Come on, 2 people need to stand up. You all represent the other 85 people that walked through the door on September 21st. Stay standing. I now need 3 more people from each table to stand up. 3 more. You represent the children of the families that walked through the door on September 21st. 2 more need to stand up. Can you guess who you are? You're the senior citizens, either on disability or members of the household that also receive food on September 21st. And finally, I need just 2 more people to stand up from each table. And you actually represent the working adults, or perhaps the adults who are on disability and can't work, who also received food on September 21st. Now, those of you who remain seated, you guys are lucky you didn't need food today. But if the cow had gone out, if the mobile food pantry had gone out, you all would be standing as well. Now think of this, folks. We talked about a very big number of 6,000. Let's bring it down to September 21st, 2018. Look around the room. This is how many people received 3 to 5 days worth of groceries on a single day at PAX. Do you think your donation matters? Do you think your time matters? We feed people for less than $5 per person. 3 to 5 days worth of groceries for less than $5 per person. You all may sit down. Thank you for indulging me a second time, and that's the last exercise. Okay. Let me see. We are here. Am I losing where I am supposed to be? Okay. 9, 10. See, I get ahead of myself in my notes. That's my problem. Okay, the point is this, folks. 6,000 is a big number, but the face of hunger, the face of food insecurity, maybe the face is sitting across from you at your table. It may be the person who is sitting next to you in Sabbath school class. It may be a workmate in your work office. It may be your next door neighbor. The face of poverty isn't some big, large 6,000 number way up there. The face of poverty is, who is our neighbor? And again, I want to cover one more, why are we here? We are here because there's a tremendous need. But what we are told is that the combination of poverty, race, low educational achievement, perhaps immigrant status, when you bundle all those things together, 3 things happen. The first thing are health disparities. So for those of us who have health insurance, good jobs, reliable cars, and can get to a doctor, and that doctor speaks the same language and has the same culture for us, we actually get really good health care. But if you are financially challenged, have no community support, have to take 3 buses to get to the healthcare center, and in the healthcare center, the person across from you does not speak your language or does not understand your culture, you end up with what's called health disparities, which means you are sicker, you're more likely to have an injury or disability, and you typically are going to die younger than other people. That's one thing that's going on in the head of those people who are living in poverty coming to PACS, whether shopping in our store or whether in our food pantry or in our health clinic. The second thing that happens is economic distress. And this is a slide that you don't necessarily have to remember other than to see that this is from the Federal Reserve. And what they did is they took 2007 and called that 0% or ground zero. So when you take all the people and put them together and say, in 2007 was ground zero, in 2008 or 2009 we had the Great Recession, and since then, if you track those people through 2016 and you look at the economic groups and how successful they have been at recovering, you can see that there's only one set of people that have actually been able to get higher than ground zero since the Great Recession. And that's the top income earners in this country. Everyone else is still struggling to get back up to ground zero. And the most tragic line on this chart is that one straight downwards line that's peach color. It represents the lowest economic rung of the ladder. And what happened is during the Great Recession in 2008 and 2009, they had nothing to lose. They just continued to slide further and further down. Economic distress, the stress of having a rough economy, is on the minds of the people we serve. And when you then look at the next layer, which is their mental and emotional stress, you see again, looking at people, whether you're looking at people with substance abuse, and you don't have to necessarily read all these slides carefully, but whether you're looking at suicidal thoughts, or people with substance abuse problems, or see people with severe mental health problems, or people with mental health problems at all, if you look at those slides, the red line is the lowest economic rung of the ladder. Those are the folks with more mental and emotional stress. In the words of the former executive director of the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, she said, "We know that a person's life expectancy is predicted more by their zip code than their genetic code." Poverty conspires to keep people in a place where their life expectancy and their outcomes are not going to be as positive as those with means. Why are we here? We are here because God has put PACS on ground zero of some of the most distressed communities in Portland. Our community service begins here because it is where it is most needed. In the words of another great lady, Eleanor Roosevelt, who in the 1950s was speaking to the United Nations about universal human rights, we could pull out universal human rights and put in community service. And Eleanor Roosevelt, speaking to the United Nations, says, where does universal human rights start? We're going to say, where does community service start? It starts in small places, close to home. So close, so small, they can't be seen on any map of the world. Yet they are the world of the individual person. Neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, places where every man, woman, and child seeks equal justice, opportunity, and dignity without discrimination. Why are we here? God has given PACS 3 acres, 4 buildings, in the Gateway community, in the center of the area of Portland, where there is some of the most dramatic need in the whole of Multnomah County. We are there with neighbors. One of our neighbors is IRCO. IRCO stands for the International Refugee, I can't remember what IRCO stands for. IRCO is the largest social service provider for immigrants and refugees in our community. They provide social services. They're about a mile away from us. 4 blocks from us, there's going to be a groundbreaking a little bit later this year for Human Solutions. Human Solutions is one of the largest affordable housing providers in Portland. They are putting their headquarters 4 blocks from PAX, and they are going to be building 76 affordable housing units just 4 blocks from us. Down around the corner on 122nd and Burnside, another organization called Central City of Concern. They're putting in about 176 new units of affordable housing. That affordable housing will be small apartments, as small as single-bedroom apartments. They'll be focused on mental health and behavioral health care. They will have a health clinic, but that health clinic will not be delivering dental services or vision services. Those are people who we will be partnering with. In our presenting sponsor this evening, Generations, is thinking about, talking about planning to build an intergenerational community, again, less than a mile away from us. So why are we here? Why is PAX on Halsey? We are here to be part of the social service infrastructure of the Gateway community. And a 10-year and 20-year vision is way beyond what we want to get into tonight, but there is some amazing potential of PAX in the years to come. And so we are just getting started. What I can promise you, though, is that in the short term, in the next year, PAX will be designing a new 3-year strategic plan in partnership with our board, in partnership with our constituent churches, and hopefully in partnership with everyone in this room. We want to have a sense of what is the direction that we collectively as a community of service want to take PAX. And I can say in the next year, we know we will be expanding the size of our food pantry. We'll be expanding the footprint. We'll hopefully be adding some educational services connected to it and improving the quality of the nutritional food that we serve. We will be definitely opening up our new health center with a focus on dental care and adding vision care and helping families navigate the health system and the social service system. The buzzword for that navigation work is called healthcare integration and/or supporting the social determinants of health. PAX is seeking to be on the leading edge of that work to help our families connect with resources that will help them break the cycle of poverty. We will also be looking for ways to expand our educational programming, and definitely we'll be looking for ways of expanding the reach of our cow. PAX is a model urban ministry. It supports the mission of our church and the needs of our community. So why are we here? We are here to live up to the high calling of ministry. And we need your support tonight to be able to do that. Now, as we close, I want to ask one more time, why are we here? And when I think of why we are here, I want us to step back one more time. Handing out food is one thing. Handing out low-cost thrift items is another thing. Providing dental care is yet another thing. But when we think of that complex of the families that we serve, who have emotional stress, mental health stress, health disparity stress, and economic stress, there's a solution that goes deeper than just providing services. And that deeper reason why we are here is captured in this slide. The world needs today what it needed 1900 years ago, a revelation of Christ. And if we as a community of service engage, and I mean deeply engage in ways we never have before, giving our resources, financial resources, giving our time, giving our expertise, engaging with us and helping us think through how can we better reflect Christ. If we dig down with prayer support, if we truly engage, we begin to manifest the life of Christ, and we lift up the dignity and the worth of each and every person. As we achieve this one thing, as we reflect Christ, lives are changed. From 6,000 people every month down to touching the life of a single person each and every day, PAX changes lives. And it's because of you. You. Let me say that again. Because of you, lives are changed. Video.
I'm from Southeast Missouri, and I moved here originally to be with my girlfriend who needed a roommate. My husband and I sold everything in the house and packed our 2 cars. We get to Portland. I start looking for a job immediately. My husband starts looking for a job immediately. We had no bed, no furniture. We're in the basement of this house that she found, and we needed some food. So we came to different food banks. Immediately, PAX is inviting and welcoming, and like the other food pantries, where you just have this kind of applesauce or this kind of grain, that kind of protein, you can really pick for your individual needs and what you can cook with. The more I was around, the more I realized I really love these people. Everyone was so kind and genuine with me. When I was in the intake portion with Bob was so helpful. I only needed groceries, but he was willing to help me in any way I needed, with utility or with the cat food, anything I needed. Bob was really willing to help me go the extra mile. I had extra time because I didn't have a job yet, so I decided I needed to do this. So I started volunteering, and it was a very good decision. I loved it.
Kamisha's personality is just so bubbly, and when you're around her, you feel good, and she's gonna give you a good word and a kind smile, and you'll feel good after being around Kamisha, and that's what I feel that she brought to PAX, is her generosity and kindness of her personality.
I would volunteer here on Tuesdays, and I would do intake, which is right behind us. It is me sitting on a computer putting their information in, and I would have a conversation with them about what they would need. If it would just be the groceries, or if they needed utility help or social type work, perhaps their parent who was living with them who needed hospice. I had all of that at my fingertips when they necessarily didn't have that option because they don't have a smartphone or internet access.
The thing that I really appreciated about her on our conversations that we have together is that she was a Christian young lady. When she interacted with the people, she was a Christian. She wanted to pray with them. She wanted to help them in any way that she could. I found that to be exactly what I was looking for.
I loved the fellowship here, the community that I could get being here at PAX. It helped me grow as a person. PAX has helped me grow, not just because I got groceries and could sustain life, but because I could give back to some people by volunteering. PAX being here has really made me a better person. The people coming in would pour into me spiritually, and I could pour into them spiritually. If they didn't know the Lord, I could tell them just in a few simple sentences or verse, or give them a little book about it. That in the end is why we are here on earth, I believe, to share God's word with everybody, and I got to do that here.
I'm really happy for Kamisha that she found the work that she was looking for. You know, I would rather have her around here with me because she does such a good job, and she's the type of person that I'm always looking for.
I finally got a job with Coos County Sheriff's Department, and my start date is September 4th. Through it all, PAX really has been here with me, helping me nutrition-wise, guiding me spiritually when I couldn't find a church, helping me feel blessed and give back to the community that I really love and feel a part of. PAX has changed my life, and it's changed many other people's lives. I'm really blessed that I got to be here with them, and I'm sad to go.
Please welcome to the stage Kamisha Keene.
Good evening. Is that working? I'm usually speaking with inmates, so be gracious with me. I'm honored to be here tonight. Leaving Coos County this weekend is not necessarily a bad thing. You have heard my story, being a part of PAX. If I represent the question of the night, why are we here, then I accept that responsibility with gratitude. Yet I am just one story in PAX. PAX tells 5,999 other stories monthly. Stories of lives lived just a little bit easier. Stories of lives touched by receiving food, low-cost clothing, soon medical and dental care. Stories like mine of the dignity preserved, hearts touched, and lives changed. Tonight, I have the privilege of inviting you to deepen your commitment to our community by making a donation in support of PAX. Your gift directly supports the budget of PAX, allowing the staff and volunteers to serve people like me. Your gifts will also help PAX expand its food, health, education, and security programs to bring hope, dignity, and safety to more people in our community. My hope is in that the next few minutes, you will think about the financial commitment that you can make and support the future of PAX. And then prayerfully stretch your commitment a little further. Together, we are a community of service, and with your generous support, tonight PAX can continue to be the revelation of Christ to our community. And that revelation of Christ is desperately needed by the community we serve. Thank you so much.
At the center of your table, you should have an envelope that looks a little bit like this. We want to give you just a couple moments as we near the end of our evening to reflect on your commitment and to participate in the community of service. Together, we are a community of service. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you so much. And thank you to 300 Watts for blessing us with your music this evening. We promised you 7 o'clock. It might be 7:01 because there's a couple of things I want to note. So stick with me real fast. We're going to run down. Thank you to the volunteers and the staff that have put this event together. We've had a great time. At least I hope you have. Good, good. Thank you to our photographers, to our caterers, to our sponsors, to the donors who donated to the silent auction. By the way, take a look on the back page. You probably are going to have to go home and get out your magnifying glass to see how many people donated to our auction. But thank you to those who have donated there. Also, to our decorating team, Lori Ramey and Karen Humbert, thank you so much. It was beautiful. Thank you to our AV team. Totally Inspired Media put this all together for us. Also, our Oregon Conference communication team putting together the videos and the graphic design tonight. They did a great job. Thank you to those that worked on that. Couple last things. How many of you got a parking ticket? Okay. How many of you got the second one that's the validation ticket? If you got the second one, you're good to go tonight. You put the first one in, the blank one, and then you put the printed one after that. If you didn't get a second ticket, it'll be available at the registration table or over at the auction checkout tonight. So don't forget, we want you to be able to get out of the parking lot tonight. Thank you very much. And if your number comes up on the screen, make sure that you pick up your auction items because, well, we don't want to take them back to PAX if we can help it. Last thing. There is a postcard here that says double your donation. There are some employers that through your HR department, they will donate or match part of your donation to your favorite charities. It never hurts to take this to HR or the HR of the place you retired from and see if they would continue to match your donations to PAX. Thank you all for giving us 3 hours of your Sunday. Thank you for being a community of service. Wherever you are, I wonder if you would just pause for a moment as we close with prayer. God in heaven, thank you. Thank you for the service that you offer in this community through PAX. And thank you for this community of service that has come together to support the ministry. Lord, we pray for your blessing on those whom we serve. We pray for your blessing on the volunteers and the staff. Lord, we pray for your blessing on PAX itself, that everything that happens there may be for your honor and your glory. In the name of Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen. The results of this event will be available through our social media channels starting on Wednesday and will be, I'm sure, in an upcoming newsletter if you're curious how the event turned out. Thank you so much. God bless you. Have a great night and a safe drive home.